Also, just because there's so many people, you literally can meet people from all around the world, because it's a global university.
Welcome. Would you like to introduce your name, course, and your year?
So my name is Tanzila. I did economics at UCL and I've just got finished this year.
So why did you choose your course?
So when I was doing A-levels, I really enjoyed maths. I did maths and further maths, and I definitely wanted to do a degree with some bits of maths in so that I didn't waste all my time doing A-levels. But I didn't want to do a pure maths degree. And I also did economics A-levels, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed learning about businesses and how they kind of operate. And I also really enjoyed learning about development economics and how countries grow and why some countries grow at a faster rate than others. And economics seemed like the only degree that kind of encompassed all three of those things. So it just seemed like the natural choice for me.
And obviously you've finished your course. What have you thought of the 4 years? Obviously, what do you think of your course?
So I did 3 years. I didn't do a master's. Um, it was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but I don't know whether that's because I think the content was difficult or I just couldn't grasp the teaching style of lectures and tutorials. So it was a lot more difficult. Second year was, I think, the worst. I don't know, loads of people say second year is just difficult in general. I think third year got a little bit better. So yeah, overall it was more difficult or complicated than I thought it was going to be, or it took me a longer time to adapt to the degree than I thought it would.
Okay, so did you come from a sixth form or college background?
So I went to a sixth form.
And what subjects did you study at sixth form?
I did maths, further maths, physics, and economics.
And did any of these subjects help you with your course?
I think maths and further maths definitely helped in the first year, the maths modules. I think if you do those, you'll kind of get the grasp of the maths modules. And economics definitely helps because a lot of the degree, it doesn't teach you the basics, which economics A-level does. So I think it's actually really helpful to have.
And what do you think the best A-level/subjects are for your course?
I would definitely say economics and then probably further maths as well, especially if you do the statistic modules.
So you did not take a placement year?
No, I didn't.
Does it come in with your course or was it a personal choice?
No, I did. I don't think at the time UCL offered that.
Okay, so if we go at the university you're studying at, which is
UCL.
what are the best and worst things about studying at UCL? Starting off with the worst.
The worst, I think, because it's so big and there's just so many students there that it's difficult to kind of get one-on-one time with your lecturers or your teachers. They do offer office hours, but again, you have to queue for them, and then sometimes they'll be busy. I didn't really go to that many office hours because I guess I didn't feel that connection or I was able to go. And I think when you're studying in lecture theatres with the amount of people and the amount of students that UCL has, it's kind of difficult to learn, or it was difficult for me. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest down points of UCL. And also, it's a city university, right? So it doesn't have that campus feel. So if you kind of want to have that campus feel and that full university experience, then maybe UCL isn't the one to go for. But if you kind of like the city area and the buildings are all kind of dotted around, so I guess it's just a personal preference. So I think those are kind of the worst the worst things about UCL. But UCL, because it's so big, it has loads of different societies. It literally has societies for kind of every hobby or anything that you might be interested in, and you can also create your own societies if you can get enough signatures. So I think that's a really good thing about UCL is whatever kind of person you are, you're bound to find people similar to you if you get involved, just because there's so much choice, and it's a really great way to make friends through the different societies.
Okay, and what are the best things about studying at UCL?
Oh, sorry. So societies, and also just because there's so many people, you literally can meet people from all around the world. Because it's a global university. And I think it's really interesting to listen to people's stories, especially when they're completely different from yours. So listening to international students and how they got to where they are. And I just think the diversity is really good. they also, like I said, they have like the different societies, but they also have loads of different opportunities. So whether you want to kind of get a job or you want to work, I think there's loads of different opportunities that you can take to earn some extra money. Sorry, another kind of bad thing about UCL, I guess, because it's in London, it's kind of expensive, the things around it. So food or like accommodation or just kind of in general, it can be quite expensive for people, especially if they kind of are used to living outside of London or in other countries. It can be quite expensive.
Okay, so if we go into the last 4 years of your accommodation, where did you live in your first year?
So I actually lived at home because I am from London. I did apply to live in accommodation, but the one they gave me, it was too expensive. It was like £250 a week, I think, and it didn't feel right when I could commute to pay that much for accommodation. So I did live at home.
And your second year?
I lived at home for
The
all
whole
3 years.
time. So
Yeah.
what do you think the best accommodation at UCL is?
So I don't, because I didn't live there, I don't know. But from kind of listening to my friends and stuff, I think kind of the halls with catering, especially the intercollegiate halls, those seem to be like quite nice buildings as well and nice areas to live in. But I would recommend kind of looking for accommodation closer to where UCL is, because UCL has loads of different accommodations and some of them are like half an hour out. So I think if you're living half an hour out from university anyway, then you don't really get that feel of being close to uni, and obviously you still have to pay for commutes. So I would definitely recommend looking for accommodation closer to where UCL's campus actually is.
Okay, so if we go into the UCL area, obviously the London area where UCL is based, what is the nightlife like in the area?
I think it's okay because it's so central and kind of it's central west, right? And it's right next to Oxford Street and Tottenham Court Road. So you're pretty central to most of the clubs. And kind of it's easy to get to, especially if you're with groups of people. And also you have the night tube, which makes things easier for people as well if you're coming back late, because the night tube obviously runs all night. So you have a form of transport. The negative, I would say, it can be really expensive, and especially if you're going out regularly, it can add up quite quickly. So that's what I.
And what are you in? Obviously, in London, it's a city, so that you would have a lot of shops. Obviously, the branded shops, the big shops, the small shops. Is it shops that you can again afford, or is it like you said with the accommodation and kind of nightclub, it's more expensive shops?
So I think UCL is great because it's next to Tottenham Court Road, so you have like a really kind of like loads of different options for like especially food. So you have like fast food chains, and you can also get meal deals quite easily. So I guess those are more your cheaper alternatives. But also if you want kind of a nice sit down meal, you also have the option to do that, and it's not like that far away from uni. It's like a 5 minute walk. So I think you kind of get the best of both.
And would you say there's anything else to say about the area? Obviously, for a first year trying to come to the area and live, anything they should know about the just generally being in the UCL area?
No, I think that kind of covers it. I think obviously if you're not from London, you should get a tube map because that's how people get around. And you should just kind of, yeah, just
Okay.
I guess around a bit slower.
So, at the last 3 years of you obviously being at UCL, did you acquire a job?
Yeah, so I worked at UCL as an ambassador, which I definitely recommend. I didn't actually know you could do this until I was in my second year, but I definitely recommend looking at the job shop. They have loads of different postings of different jobs, like working in like in the office or like at the student union or working at the cafes and like the little shops in UCL. They pay really well and they work around your schedule. If you don't want to work set hours, I definitely recommend applying to be an ambassador, because you can pick your own hours that you work, especially if you're like a general ambassador. You can do like campus tours and kind of work with children who are looking to come into university. So I think it's really great way to just to earn money, but also work around your studies. And also, it's a really good way to meet people. Like I made friends from when I did it. You get to like meet people you wouldn't have otherwise met, like from different degree backgrounds and just from different kind of year groups. So I would definitely recommend kind of looking for a job at uni.
Okay. And being a student ambassador, what would you say you found the best thing about obviously being the ambassador, except for the pay, obviously, like you said, that was well, and making friends?
It was just really enjoyable. It didn't really feel like a job. So I did like a whole program. So I used to go in every other Saturday, and it was like a 9 a.m. start. And it just didn't even feel like, I wasn't even like upset to wake up to go in and work. It was a really enjoyable job. It was a really nice atmosphere. They gave us lunch as well. So that was really nice. But overall, it was just really fun. And also, you working with kind of, well, I was working with children in year 10 and year 11 who were kind of looking to or looking at their opportunities that they could have, or like looking at university and what that was like. So it was kind of really nice interacting with them as well. But yeah, I think the best part is just kind of like talking to the other ambassadors and just kind of learning about kind of their different degrees and their backgrounds. It's a different experience that I think everyone should kind of try and get.
So while at UCL, did you join any societies?
Yeah, so I think that's another thing. I think everyone should get involved in societies. I think if you're a fresher, you should definitely look to apply to be a fresher rep for societies that you enjoy. So I was fresher reps for like two different, or for one society, and then when I was in my second year, I was on the committee for like three different societies. And although it was hectic at times because I had like events on kind of every other day, it was just really enjoyable. And again, I made some of my closest friends from different societies. So if you kind of are finding it difficult maybe to make friends, I think societies are a great way to start. But also, it's just you get so much like different experiences from it, and I think it's great on your CV and to talk about in interviews, especially competency-based interviews. They're going to ask you about a time where you performed something or you kind of solved a task, and I think societies really give you that experience, and you can talk about something you're actually interested in. So I definitely think you should get involved in societies, and I definitely think you should try and be part of the committee for at least one society.
Okay. So can you tell us about UCL freshers, your
Uh,
experience?
yeah, so UCL Freshers has loads of different events on. Like I think there's events for everyone, whether kind of you like going out or you're more of someone who doesn't really like going out and drinking. There's literally events for everyone, and all the societies put on fresher events as well. So it's a great time for free food. So I think you should definitely kind of look in that. And that's kind of where they're looking to hire their fresher reps as well. Kind of that's where they give you that information. So I think it's definitely great to go to those. And then all they have, like I think they have night events every day, but the only thing is I think it can be kind of expensive. I don't know. You can get like a wristband that gives you access to all of the events. So if you're like definitely looking to go to everything, that is probably the cheaper alternative, but I think that's kind of the only thing.
Can you tell us about your experience specifically? How you found your freshers week? Did you go to freshers? Didn't you go to freshers?
I went to some events. So like I said, I didn't buy the band, so I didn't go to everything, but I went to like a bowling night as well, and then I went to a few like smaller events. So they had this uh, like ice cream like board game night once. So that was kind of fun. And like I said, I went to a few different societies meet and greets. Because I wanted to like get involved. So it was nice. It was nice. But I think one thing is the friends you make at freshers are not necessarily going to be your friends like throughout your degree. I think that's important to note, because I think some people will like get hooked on the idea that they need to make friends straight away. And especially during freshers, but that's not always the case. So you shouldn't feel like left out or down about that. Loads of people kind of make their like proper friends like after freshers. So that's just something to bear in mind.
Okay. So what general advice would you give to students first years about to study university?
Do your reading. I know it can seem a bit tedious, and you have a lot of free time to begin with. And I think if you don't plan it, then it's really easy to kind of get left behind on your degree. And that definitely happened to me. Like I wasn't really doing any work for a lot of the time, because it was just suddenly you had so much free time and you didn't know how to structure it, or I didn't know how to structure it. So I was kind of doing my assignments, but not really kind of studying around them or doing the extra readings or doing the required readings. But I think that's really important, just to give you a basic understanding. It really doesn't take that long once you start. So definitely, I would say kind of trying to get into a routine and structure your day. Maybe create like a little timetable for yourself that you can follow. So you know you've done all your reading for your modules. And just keeping up to date with your modules, I think, is important, because then you can actually utilize the office hours that your teachers give. If you go to office hours and you don't actually know what's going on in the lecture, then there's no point. And that's why I didn't go to a lot of my office hours, because I really didn't know what was going on. I think if I had done my reading, obviously I could have used those extra hours to kind of get a better understanding. So I would definitely say that do your reading and just try to keep on top of it. Like I said, especially in first year, your modules probably won't count. So it really doesn't take that much effort. But you need to put that little effort in, because no one's going to be like, oh, have you done this? Have you done that? It's not like school where you have your teachers constantly kind of checking up on you. You have to check up on yourself. So that is kind of what I would say. And like I said, I would definitely say to get involved in societies and to look for a job at university.
And what advice would you give to students about to start at UCL?
It's really big and it can be quite daunting, especially when it comes to making friends. I know loads of people struggle with feeling lonely, and I think I did as well, especially in first year. It took me a while to get adjusted to the degree and to the setting. So like, for example, like it can be quite isolating, like if you go into like a tutorial class and no one really speaks to each other, and then like you feel kind of left out or like lonely, basically. It can be quite lonely. So I think if you're feeling that way, that's completely normal. Especially at UCL, it's an international university and there's so many people, and you need to give it time. So like I said, like I made kind of the bulk of my friends in the second half of first year, I think. So it takes time and you have to give it that time. And if you speak to other people, they'll kind of, like loads of people will mimic the same thing and say that it took them, like they had to give it time to make friends. So I definitely think that at UCL is something. I don't know about other universities because they have more of a campus feel. I guess it might be easier to make friends, but at UCL, that's definitely one thing that I would say.
And what advice would you give about your course?
You need to keep on top of it, especially in first year, not so much. I think they've changed the way that they grade though. So I think a few more modules count in first year now. So the modules that you know that count, put the effort in, because if you get a good grade in first year, it's just going to give you the confidence to do well in second year. If you don't get that well of a grade or the grade that you were hoping for, it's okay. But if you put that effort in first year, I think it's easier to do well in first year, obviously. Second year is really difficult. So you need to start from the beginning, I think, and do your reading. I think like that's the most important thing for economics, just to do your readings on time. If you keep it on a weekly schedule, it's just going to make your life so much easier and you're not going to be as stressed out when it comes to your final exams. That's what I would say. And then when you get into third year again, because you have so many modules, doing your reading is really important. That's one thing like I just didn't do for some reason, and then I left it till the last minute, and it's really stressful, so don't do that.
Okay, so you chose university over going for an apprenticeship / going right into work. What made you take university over these two options?
To be honest, I didn't really know that there were that many other options. I knew there were like school leaver programs because I know in our school, one of the girls in the year had done a school leaver program. But to be honest, there wasn't really that much information on that. I really didn't know much about it. And university was just kind of the normal route to take, I guess. Like that's what our school was telling us about. All you could hear was like UCAS applications. So it was, I guess, kind of I just fell into it. It wasn't, I don't think it was like active choice. It was just kind of the norm.
Okay, so at this point, we let students kind of have like a free for all, I like to call it, where you could say what you want about what you want. You could put your ats, your Instagrams, your LinkedIn's, your Facebooks. You could give advice. You could say a story. You can literally do what you want and say what you want. The floor is yours.
So I don't actually have social media, so I'm not like I don't have anything to plug. But I would say like my biggest advice to freshers is just to take it easy as well in your first year. Don't put like a lot of stress on yourself. It takes time to adapt to like the degree style of learning. Most people were like to me, oh, the first year of university is easier than sixth form or like your second year of A levels. And I understand kind of why, because the content might be a little bit easier, but you're in a completely different environment. So don't be so harsh on yourself, especially like I don't think the mental health services are that great at any university. So especially if you're struggling with like anxiety and things, like be kind to yourself. Don't expect yourself to be kind of part of everything, and have loads of friends and be really good at your, you know, at your degree. Like, be easy on yourself, and if you need help, ask for help. That's kind of the only thing. Even if the services aren't that great, it's still something. So I definitely think that if you're feeling kind of lonely, or you're not really understanding your degree, ask for help. Don't just let it fester, just ask for help. I think that's the best thing you can do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'm plugged in.
Amazing. Thank you.